Hi, thanks very much for clicking on an idle chat. My name is Natalie, and this is my friend and colleague, John Coverdale, who every time I say his name, I always think in my mind, Dr. John, the great New Orleans musician, Dr. John. How are you today, John?
I'm well. How are you?
Doing very well. Hey, thanks for being brave enough to join me for an idle chat.
Happy to be here.
Well, it's nothing but fun. No reason to be scared or nervous. I can't guarantee, but we generally promise that no neutrals will be hurt in the filming of an idle chat video. All right. John, have you ever cut your own hair?
Yes,
And
I would prefer it. I don't have a lot of margin for error, so I'm okay. It saves money.
very practical. John's a pragmatist. I like it. John, would you rather live underground, underwater, or in deep space?
Underground.
Solid answer. Underground. Let's see. John, do you have a good luck charm?
Yes, I do.
Do you want to share what it is?
My navy blue Brooks Brothers blazer, which I have on right now.
Perfect. Did you feel like you needed extra luck to talk to me?
Not you specifically, but I rarely am I without it. So
All right. Little comfort. John, next card. Would you rather learn to sail a boat or ride a horse?
ride a horse.
English or Western?
I don't know that much about horses, but I'm a lover of water and used to work on a ferry, passenger ferry, and took some sailing lessons back in the day. And so it's not fully removed from my bucket list, but I've only been on a horse once. So
It's all right. I can picture you in a cowboy hat. Cowboy hat with the Brooks Brothers.
yeah, that's interesting combination.
You could set a new trend. I think I know the answer to the next card, but it reads, are you a sports fan?
Absolutely.
What are your favorite
Absolutely.
sports?
Boxing and football and basketball, um, college basketball in particular, but uh, even high school. I mean, I love the spirit of competition. Uh, and someone told me that debate teams are a sport. So by my definition, that's competition as well. So I guess I have to go find some debate teams performing.
I can see how people would define debate as a sport. Absolutely. So you gave a nice combination. Some are team sports and some are individual sports.
Right.
I'm a big fan of boxing. Who's your favorite boxer?
Muhammad Ali, there's pictures on the wall
He's the
just,
greatest.
just under John F. Kennedy's.
Muhammad Ali, the man, Cassius Clay. John, if you were taking a vacation, would you go to the beach or the mountains?
Beach.
Anyone in particular?
You're asking me as we just got some snow and it's heavy wind here. So anyone that's warm today and the sun's out and I could relax a little bit would be fine.
Take what we can get.
Right.
All right. John, do you happen to have a favorite word? And if so, what is it?
Aforementioned.
Aforementioned. Heck of a word.
Yeah, I don't know why I'm very comfortable with the word. I like the way it sounds. It's a little bit unique, um, but it says the same thing as stated or beforehand or above noted and everything else, but it's not used so frequently.
It's a good one. Feels nice in your mouth, aforementioned. I'll try to add it to my lexicon from time to time. Sir, would you rather speak every human language or have the ability to speak with animals?
Every human language.
In our line of work, that would come in handy.
It would. It would.
Not that we don't love our animals.
Well, yeah, I think in some ways animals are better versed than human beings, you know, and more adaptable. So
Still, every human language. All right. John, what is the spiciest food you've ever eaten?
a really spicy taco. You know, my palate doesn't have a wide range, so I'm cautious with spices, but I would say tacos, some spicy meat tacos.
All right. They can get pretty hot.
Yes.
They can get pretty hot. John, did you always want to be a mediator?
In retrospect, I think I always had the tendency, the interest, the curiosity. In retrospect, however unofficially it may have been, I served the role as a mediator. Um, Even in my upbringing, um, in school, at work, you know, there was something that fascinated me about the ability to bring people together after they were far apart on whatever particular issue may be. And, you know, you don't get credit for it per se, but at the same time, they know it was you who helped them to see a different perspective or to change their position or see the other person's perspective differently. And I like that, and I always have.
Yeah, for some of us, it's just part of our nature, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah. John, if you never needed to sleep again, what would you do with all of the extra time?
I would read more, spend more time listening to music. I probably would spend more time, actually, I probably would spend more time trying to relax since I don't sleep a lot now. But um, you know, there are so many interesting things going on in the world at any given time, and you know, to try to understand those issues with greater depth and insight would probably be how I'd spend my time. I'd like to write a book, um, so I would use a lot of the time to do that.
What would you write a book about?
Probably something in conflict in organizations or preparing leaders for to be in a better position to deal with conflict in the workplace or to understand how their own behavior can at times contribute to conflict or just the opposite. So that would be the book on it. It'd be sort of like conflict resolution for dummies. You know, the to use the title of the that series of books. You know, conflict resolution for leaders in organizations. Of
Yeah,
course, I'd
that's a
be putting
valuable book.
myself out of work at some point, but you know, which I'm not quite ready to do. But in a way, I'd be okay with that.
You know, I think oddly, that's every neutral's favorite dream. Yeah, that would be lovely. John, is there anything that you just can't live without?
McDonald's French fries.
That is not the answer I expected from you, sir.
uh, More seriously, probably music.
Music soothes the soul, inspires, motivates.
Yes.
Yeah, what music do you listen to?
I used to tell people that no matter what your musical tastes were, I had something for you at my house. Um, I found out how wrong I was when I said that to a much younger person. But generally, it's jazz, or traditional rock, R&B. I recently saw the Bob Dylan movie, and I was reminded of the impact that he had on music, and how potent some of his lyrics were. And not only that, how many people, someone like Nina Simone, who has entire album dedicated to Bob Dylan's music, and they're as opposite on the spectrum as it really is as you could be, but yet she, as a purist, had great respect for his music. And similarly, the Beatles, I think "Let It Be" is one of the most popular songs by other artists, and there's something that fascinates me about that, the impact of it, the different versions. When every artist puts their own spin on it, but at the same time they are respectful of the origin, um, and that's interesting to me.
Yeah, and words matter.
Right.
Yeah, words
And
do
I think it's
matter.
important to find different ways to soothe yourself too, if it's music or art or reading, or those are the kinds of things that I rely on the most. So I'd spend most of my time, in reference to your prior question, doing those things.
Yeah, all the things that touch our humanity. Yeah. All right. Next card reads, do you like for things to be carefully planned, or do you just sort of go with the flow?
Depends. It really depends on my mood. There are times when I prefer things to be carefully planned, but there are times when I say let it go and just sort of see where the wind takes you. And ironically, you can end up in the same place, with both of those strategies. Um, so I've gotten better at that. Just see where the wind takes me. Let it go.
There you go. Let it be. Let it be. Well, John, I'll ask you the same question I ask everybody as the last question in an idle chat, and that is, tell me a little bit about what you love most about the resolution industry, the work that we do collectively, or the work that you do personally.
Mm. These are interesting times, and I don't mean that in a purely political way. Um, Although you can't ignore the political changes that are underway either. Um, but particularly post-COVID, we're dealing with a different economy. We're dealing with a different geopolitical mindset, a different socioeconomic mindset, and ironically, increased conflict in the workplace. And I've always said that the workplace is a microcosm of society, and I think it's more true today, arguably, than it's ever been. So, there's a part of me that when I get frustrated about some of the things that are going on, which I do, and I don't think there's any harm in admitting that. I always recover with the thought of, but this is exactly what the world needs right now. We need, and I'm not saying I'm the person, but we need a James Bond-like figure who has the reputation, who has the acumen, who has the ability and has the courage to take on some of the world's greatest problems at any given point in time, and to do it respectfully, and to do it in a transformative way. And these are the things that in the workplace today, we're in a difficult moment, politically, socioeconomically. We've had extensive conversation about what DEI is or isn't. And I think we need a person who can deal with the resultant conflicts from all these conversations. As I said earlier, most leaders are not in a position to do it or don't have the time. We need a person where you can come in and guide people through the pendulum swings that are going on and will continue to go on. And some people will be educated. Some people appreciate your presence. Some people are going to ask you to stick around. They'll appreciate your presence so much. But at the same time, some people are going to be comfortable with, we'll call you when we need you again. And if that's all you get out of it, it's still to some degree a transformation. You don't have problem A anymore. They'll call you when problem B arises, but they trust you enough to call you back in.
And still really important that we're available for those folks, because if we're not, the issues become conflicts and the conflicts become disputes, and that's just
Right.
not good for anybody.
Right. All right. And I think the ability to foster trust in your interactions with people, even with people, where there's vast disagreements in any of those categories that I mentioned a moment ago and others, but if you're not violating the trust, you've made some progress. Maybe it's not immediately discernible, but you've made progress because you guided them through problem A, and they'll think about you when the next problem arises. And I enjoy this. I think with all of the real and imagined conflicts and difficulties and misunderstandings right now, I think there's also a lot of opportunities for people who want to help mitigate conflict or help others mitigate it.
Yep, so right. You are so right. John, if somebody wants to talk with you about your neutral services or the resolution industry in general, what's the best way for them to find you?
Via email, John at centerforworkplacesolutions.com. JOHN, centerforworkplacesolutions.com.
Easy enough. Easy enough. Well, I can recommend to anybody watching this video, if you're looking for somebody to help you with workplace issues, disputes, or conflicts, John's your guy. John's
Thank
your
you so
guy.
much,
John,
Natalie.
you're welcome. Thank you so much for joining me for an idle chat. I always enjoy chatting with you.
Same here. You be well.
Thanks, you too.
Take care.